Hi, I'm Laura Viola Maccarone. I am the owner and creative director and freelancer of Rizbee Studio, a visual branding and package design studio specializing in the food and beauty industries. I've had the business coach for 4 years, and since having her, I've doubled my revenue every year. I'm still freelance, but the work is consistent. It's a beautiful thing, and I love it. You know, it's my business, so I get to give people whatever names I want. You want a name, Steve? What do you want?
Yes, there's Laura. We're off to the States this week, to Massachusetts. And I can't wait for you to hear it. There is a real pivot, a pivotal moment. That gets used quite a lot, right? That phrase. But never has it been more appropriate for what happens to Laura and the change in direction and the way she feels about her business. I can't wait for you to hear it. That coming up. You know that as well as the podcast, I make videos and there's a newsletter and a course for freelancers, right? And a community. You know that? Good. Well, in that case, I'll skip over that bit and tell you that in the community, we are doing the book club. It is back for 2026, and we are reading The Personal Branding Playbook by Amelia Sordell. This is what got voted in our poll in the community. It says, the strapline is, turn your personality into your competitive advantage. So many freelancers over the years on this podcast have spoken about the difference a strong personal brand has made to them. Lots of us, funnily enough, myself included, for years would go, personal brand, like we hate saying the word, but Amelia is owning it, and she's written literally the book about it. And if you fancy joining us and turning your personality into your competitive advantage, get the book and join us. 10th of March is when we're going to be reading it or discussing it rather, in the Being Freelance community. Details are at beingfreelance.com. Come join us. Right now, shall we head to Massachusetts and chat to this week's guest? That is creative director and graphic designer Laura Viola Maccarone. Hey, Laura.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me.
Now, as ever, how about we get started hearing how you got started being freelance?
Well, I've been a professional graphic designer for 22 years, and my freelance gig came about after I had my first child. In Manhattan, to put child in daycare was more expensive than our rent, and we just couldn't swing it. So I just started freelancing and working from home.
So how long ago was that?
2008. I moved to freelance at a magazine that I was working at, and then I picked up another freelance gig with another magazine, and then I did some record label designs, album cover art and layouts, and then I did their marketing materials. So it was just like kind of little things from everywhere.
But were these people you knew? Were you contacting them?
Yeah, yes, there were people that I knew, definitely, and people helping me out. Throwing a few bucks here and there with a newborn.
Yeah, and there's another thing. Like, so how were you working? Were you working from home back then?
Yes, on a 4th floor walk up. Would change our little tiny dining room table into my desk during the day with the kid bouncing right next to me. And that's how we got on. That's how we started.
Do you know what? I did the same thing. And even though we've moved, and like at one point I moved into an office, I still took the kitchen table with me.
Yes.
So yes. I was in this big fancy office, but I had the same, like the people who ran it were like, are you sure you don't want us to get you a desk? And I was like, no. This is symbolic.
Yes. Well, We recently cleaned out the house about a year ago, and we got rid of that kitchen table that we had in Manhattan. And I was like, it had many lives, this table. And I was like, I don't know if I can get rid of it. And my husband's like, Laura, get it out of here.
That's quite a long time ago. What, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
So, how did it develop? How did you start to feel about this new freelance career you'd found yourself in?
Well, it was scary, unpredictable, and definitely had its ups and downs. And there seemed to be seasons where the work would be all of a sudden all together, and then the work would be like, you know, tumbleweeds kind of going across the kitchen floor. Or maybe that's just because I need to clean the house. I don't know. But we moved from Manhattan to San Francisco. And San Francisco was actually harder to be a freelancer. It was much harder. Everybody was a graphic designer in San Francisco, and everybody thought that they were the best of the best. So like if your work wasn't, you know, I don't know, it was, 2003 I started, and we're thinking like 2009. So I'm still green, I'm still green at that point and freelancing. So it was hard. It was hard in San Francisco. It really took off when we moved to Massachusetts, and we settled in Massachusetts, and I'm technically still a freelancer, but I took like my freelance gig, and as a graphic designer, it's all about branding and it's all about how you sell yourself, so to speak. So I took the freelance gig and kind of turned it into by adding studio to the name. So it's, I'm still freelance, but the work is consistent. It's a beautiful thing, and I love it. I love it. I love what I do.
Okay, we need to dive into this then. So this is Rizbee Studio.
Yes.
So were you calling yourself Rizbee before that?
Yeah, that was my nickname growing up.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
But were you like, I don't know, Rizbee Designs, Rizbee?
Yes, I was Rizbee Designs. Yep.
So right from the beginning, you decided to go with a name, with a company name. Why was that?
I wanted my own portfolio, and I didn't want Viola, .com, and because this was right before I got married, and I just didn't want my name as, a web address. So I came up with RizbeeDesigns.com, and that's just how it started. And it was just kind of like, Laura Viola Maccarone, but it's RizbeeDesigns.com. And when we moved to Massachusetts, I decided pretty early on, like we had only been here maybe about 5 months. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a studio. I'm going to change just the wording just to see what happens. And it's been growing progressively every year.
What was your thinking? I'll see what happens. But there must have been something like what?
Oh, there was. You're going to get it out of me, aren't you? There was. I went for an interview to freelance for somebody, and it was the worst interview I had ever been to. My work was like ripped apart, and it was like I didn't come in for a critique. I already went to art school like twice. Like I don't, and so when I got home I was so devastated that I literally opened up Instagram and I made an account, Rizbee Studio. And I was like, I guess I'm a studio now.
But even that, what was the difference between calling yourself Rizbee Designs and Rizbee Studio? Because it's obviously made a big difference ultimately. So
yes, I think it sounded, again, it's all about how you sell yourself, but I think it sounded more established. Like, okay, we're a studio. And I always use we. It's me. I am growing my team now, and I definitely have, contractors that I work with on a consistent basis. But yeah, it's I still use we.
So this was 10 years ago. So congratulations. Yeah. So 10 years of Rizbee Studio. Yeah. But if I go to your website, as you might use we, but you're all over it. Your face is all over it. Laura's name is all over it. As in Laura was great in the testimonials, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's still very much you.
Oh, 1,000%. It actually is just me. We don't have any W-2 employees. Work on projects, you work directly with me.
So 2016, you become Rizbee Studio. What else changes other than the name though? Like, do you start going for different kind of work?
Not yet. I started to explore what I wanted to work on, and what I love working on. I would take on any kind of project and just see how it went. And through that exploration up until the pandemic, I had finally realized like what I love to do, which is I love designing systems for brands. The first system I ever designed under Rizbee Studio is an aromatherapy company, and they have like 360 products that are all handmade in their lab. And there's collections, and they all talk to each other. So we had to, design this whole entire like visual vernacular system, and I was in heaven
And
designing that.
how did that project come to you, or you come to it?
Oh, I was in their flagship store. I bought something and I introduced myself to the owner, who happened to be ringing me up, and I was like, I just took it and I said, "Have you ever thought of rebranding?" And she was like, "You know what? I have been." And I was like, "I would love to talk with you more about that." And she was like, "Okay, let's have coffee." It was so serendipitous. It was so serendipitous. And we had coffee, we hit it off. And then I did this big presentation in my kitchen for her and gave her all these options. And then we chose like a direction, and then we developed the whole system. So we did like, I keep saying I drew 87 custom illustrations, and we picked out the whole color palette for the whole brand. We redid their logo. We did everything.
Wow. And you think, I loved doing that, I want to do
Yeah.
more of this.
Yes, definitely.
So how have you gone about getting more of those sort of clients? You're not just hanging around in all their stores hoping...
Saying, "Hey."
Well, maybe you are.
Maybe I am. No, I think that for me, the biggest thing has been networking. I don't know if you have this, but in the States, it seems there was networking events that always seemed to take place, but then there was this shift, and these networking events started being more like female oriented, and female founders and C-suites and leaders started developing, I would say, around 2015, 2016. And so I joined my first one, and I met like a bunch of people who were starting out their businesses, and they needed branding. So I started out small, and then it just grew because the networking community just grew. And I think it's really important to put yourself out there and meet people and develop those relationships, because I think developing those relationships, they remember you and they know that they can, contact you if they need your services.
So this is local networking in predominantly female business groups.
It is.
Right.
But we've just last year started networking in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then networked in Manhattan. And I opened up like a little micro office in Manhattan, like an actual physical space. And so I'm networking in New York. And then I leave in 2 weeks from today. I leave for LA to network in LA.
Whoa. Oh God, there's so much to talk about. Because there's one thing going to like your local networking.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just put some geographical sense in here before everybody's Googling. Or maybe they're first of all trying to figure out how they spell Massachusetts so they can Google. What is the relative distance or time effort involved to go Massachusetts
to California,
Manhattan, which is like New York, San Francisco? Even from my basic geography, that's the other side of the country, isn't it?
Straight across.
Right. So okay, and where does Massachusetts lie in all of that?
Where I am, because I'm 45 minutes north of Boston, in a little seaside town called Newburyport. So I'm about 45 minutes from Boston, and Boston is about 3.5 to 4 hours from New York City.
Okay,
Train.
right.
Train is the best way to get there.
Okay, but then still, San Francisco is a great deal further.
Yes. Yeah. So it's obviously on California, it's not all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, trying to do that maybe once or twice a year. Even last year, I did networking in Louisiana, in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans to a big conference to network there. So there's just, different places.
So that is a big investment of
Yes. Yep.
financial and time
Yes.
involved. How are you working those events in your favor?
I make sure that I'm branded myself. I always like to make sure that it's memorable and really just taking in the scene. So like the one in New Orleans was the International, I'm going to say it wrong, Dairy, Deli, and Bakery Association. It's a huge, huge, huge event. I couldn't even meet everyone, but I met really lovely, lovely business owners because they have the full range. They have the quote unquote mom pops, and then they have the national and international as well. So it's really cool to kind of just go around and listen to people's stories and ask them about, oh, how'd you get started? Like, where are you now in the process? What is your goal? What is the thing that you're going for? And really investing in their stories because, as a graphic designer, that's what we do visually is we tell visual stories. So I think it's really important to listen to other people's stories and to hear things because that's how the conversations start. So I'm always interested in hearing about how somebody started their business and got going.
So would these people have like stands at
Yes.
the
Yes, they'd have
like
booths.
exhibition type thing?
Yes. Yep.
Have you looked at who might be there in advance and figured out who you might want to talk to? You're just thinking, I'm just going to wander in.
They don't really give you the list that much in advance, and then they only give the list to a select few. So, but you do get the list when you check in. You get the list of everybody who's there. So then I'll take my time and skim through. There is one client out of Seattle whom I would love to work with at these expos that I go to. They're always there. And I'm always like, here's my card. Here's my card. It's great to see you again. But I think the important thing is to also take that list, post, if you're spending this money, you've made these relationships. So follow up and then bring the list home with you and comb through the list and say, oh, okay, I would love to connect with them on LinkedIn and say, hey, it was great to see you at the IDDBA. Like, how'd you think it went? Like that kind of thing. So again, inquiring about their experiences and their stories and then taking the conversation from there.
I love it. Yeah, you're not putting yourself at an event full of graphic designers or creatives. Yeah. You're going to where your ideal clients are.
Yes.
And getting to know them, getting to see their stuff. Have you ever been tempted to have a trade booth yourself?
I would say that I wouldn't do a trade booth because I don't want to be stuck to anything for myself. And how many people are coming over being like, oh, like graphic designer, I needed that. Like, I just kind of go on over and, just introduce myself and take a sample and just start conversations. I'm not there to sell myself. I'm there to really like start a relationship with a company, introduce myself. That's it. But I would say that there are ways for like those type of expos where you can, on the back end, you can offer your services in saying, hey, this is what I do. Is there an opportunity if you guys have any like pilot programs for new brands on the scene that need like their packaged reviewed? Like maybe they're not getting that deal at the major stores because their packaging isn't like appealing. So you can offer your services for free and do like, brand analysis kind of thing.
So that's been something that's well, you've had work come
Yes. Yeah.
out of these situations. What would you say is the like the time frame between that first meeting to maybe getting something come in?
It takes a while. It takes a while. I've seen 2 come in about a 6-month period. And again, it's just setting up those meetings and doing one-to-ones or emailing them being like, "Oh, hey, I have a question about something that you said. It really resonated with me." Just in genuine relationships. I love meeting people. So I love learning about people. And the biggest thing with Rizbee Studio, and I don't know if it's the trend of like toxic traits, is that my clients become really good friends. And I that's one thing that I hold really close to my heart, is that it's mostly family owned businesses, and they're looking to expand, and they're looking for that next goal, and they want to reach that, but they need help. So it's almost like an intimate process, because you kind of embed yourself into their brand and what they're doing, and so that you can, design for their goals.
Yeah. How do you tread that line between staying in touch with these people, with a company, with a person you've met, and being too salesy?
Definitely,
guess.
I don't sell. Don't sell. I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to sell you anything. Like, the only time that I will truly sell is if they come to me and they say, "This is what we need." And I'm like, "Okay, well, then this is what we can do for you." And then, like, that kind of thing. But I really, truly develop the relationships first.
Which I love. But do they see your, if you've connected with them on LinkedIn, are you sharing your work on LinkedIn?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So they're
Yes.
still seeing perhaps, or do you send out emails or have an email list where people are seeing examples of your work?
Yes. To
right.
all. Yes to all.
And so how would you try to get one of those people onto your email list? Like, what's the...
Number one, I ask, and then I also refresh every so often. If I have like a batch of new people to put on my email list, I will send out a new email just to that batch and say, "Hey, the reason why you're getting this is because we've networked and you've given me your card. If you don't want to be on my mailing list, please just click unsubscribe. But I hope that you're here on this journey to like kind of see what we're doing in the studio. And maybe there's some helpful, tips and tricks for your business as you follow along," that kind of thing.
And how often might you send an email?
I don't send them enough. I have a business coach, and she's on me about that.
Once a month?
No, nope. I'm like a once every 6-month kind of gal.
Okay. So we've got a lot to catch up on. Look at all this work. Okay, well, it's obviously working.
Yeah. I would say LinkedIn and Instagram is consistent. So there's a lot more visibility in that arena.
Yes. Okay. Because of course these are the sort of brands who would be on Instagram.
Yes.
In a big way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both because they're what I've truly found that I love to do is CPG, so consumer packaged goods, in the food and beauty industries. So I really love to see other people, like what other brands are doing and what they've got going on, and then following them on Instagram, and then also LinkedIn too, because then LinkedIn is more business professional, kind of appealing towards the marketing needs that a company might need.
How much time would you say you spend into social? Well, so let's call it social media. How much time of your week?
Well, I made an investment, and I have a social media manager. So,
when did you do that?
I did that. I've been working with her for, I'd say 14 months now. Yeah, 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth every penny, because I don't have to wrestle with the beast of social. I will reply, and it's me that you hear from, and I approve all the posts. And we meet like once a month to talk about the next month, what we're going to focus on. But we really stick to the 3 pillars of the business, of like who my ideal clients are, what kind of projects I'm looking for, that kind of thing.
Okay, now I've got to skirt around. There's so many things I wanted to ask you that have cropped up. One was the small issue of an office in Manhattan.
Yes.
So is that like a permanent like studio space that you have there, or is it?
So sort of. I'm trying to think about what you guys have like that would equate. Like, do you guys have co-working spaces?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you exactly?
I am in Hertfordshire, which is just north of London,
Okay.
between London
Yes.
and Cambridge. So
Yes. Yep. Because when I was in London, I was peeking around for like to see, workspaces and things like that, just to see. Because I'm thinking of
London office.
Why not? Why not?
I love this. Yeah.
The only, the way I look at it, you only live once.
Tell you what, Laura, I'll pop in and water the flowers when you're
I love it.
busy in Manhattan.
I love it. So Manhattan is it's between, I would say it's between a co-working space and like having your own messy studio kind of thing. Because if I were to turn the camera, you would see that this place is a disaster. But it's between that. So it's not like you're sitting at a desk and there's like multiple people all around. There's private offices and you use the private offices. There's a receptionist. There's a whole security in the beginning in the foyer. And it allows you to also use the actual address. So I'm able to, use the address that, the building's, where the building is.
As your company address. Right.
Yes. I'm like, yes, Laura, that's how addresses work.
No, I get what you mean. As your postal address, as your registered address. But that's quite an investment in itself. I mean, how often do you go there, given that you're 3.5 hours away?
So I signed a 6-month lease to test it out, and I go about once a month for a couple of days.
What have you found, or what's your hope of having that second base there? Is it for client meetings in person? Like, what's...
Yes, definitely being able to meet in person. Also to say that, nope, we're here in New York too. We have a presence in New York. And to really expand the networking for businesses that are starting out, because Manhattan in its own way is its own little tiny country because of how many people are there. So you think about how many businesses people are starting and wanting to grow, and especially in food and beauty. So it's just a kind of like a hub to kind of say, oh yeah, I can do that. I can meet you at my office, and it's nice. It's nice.
So much still to come, including something that happens in Laura's house that is nothing that I have ever heard of on this podcast before, or any other podcast for that matter. It's just a concept I have not come across, and I'm here for it, as should you be. Let me just remind you that as well as the podcast, I make videos about freelancing. In fact, there's a new vlog at the moment about my own freelance life. There's the newsletter that I do for freelancers. There's the course for new freelancers and the community. Come and join us at beingfreelance.com if you fancy hanging out with others who get what it's like, and both in person, like online with co-working, in real life if you happen to be near us when we do something, but also, importantly, all the time whenever you need us to ask a question, to celebrate, to commiserate, whatever it might be. Beingfreelance.com has all the details. Right, let's get back to Laura's story. So there's the big conferences that you go to, but I saw on your website that you have Women's Business League badges.
Yes, yeah.
Is that a national or local thing?
They're becoming national. They started local. It has been really instrumental in my business growth for many reasons. They really made an environment for women entrepreneurs and female founders and leaders to have a place to get together and talk about their wins, their challenges, and what it is that they're looking for. And that's been incredible, because what we do is there's chapters that they started, and then they do mix and mingles with different chapters. So you can be traveling, across the state to go meet other people in other industries who might need your services. So things like that. So that's been really, really helpful. You can let people know, well, if you're in this, if you know anybody in this industry who's looking for this, like that's my jam. That's my niche. That's what I need. And that's how I've gotten a lot of my work is through referrals. Like, oh, you got to meet Laura. Like, so yeah.
Amazing. And did that really help when you picked that niche?
Yes. Yes, it did. It doesn't mean that I don't do design for other, like last year I branded 2 interior design firms. It was a blast to do and lovely work, but it's outside of my niche. But I still took them on. I love working with people. So
yes.
I'll take anything.
But also I can see that they could see a link, like if they like your work, there is a link perhaps between the style that they liked of interior design and food packaging or not just food, health, whatever it may be, packaging. Yeah. Now, you mentioned hiring a social media manager.
Yes.
Have you hired, and this is not as in a full-time employee, but have you hired anybody else to work on your business with you?
So I work with a fractional CMO. She owns her own business, but she comes in on projects that are needed for larger teams that are needed for a company. So we do like marketing strategy and through that. So I'll bring them in on projects. I have a social media manager who handles my social media, but then she also handles we have a couple of my clients. So there's overlap there. And then I just brought on a new social media manager to take on more of my clients that are moving into social, because it's so natural to make a brand and design the brand and have all the components come together and then just be like, here, good luck. It's kind of like, no, if you really don't want to do social and you don't know what it is that you want, we can handle that for you. You'll approve everything, but we'll handle it for you. So that's another offering that we're doing. And specifically for CPG products, but we also have another one that's coming on that is a builder. So we'll be, handling their social media. I don't necessarily I'll oversee it because I'm making sure for continuity sake of the brand. But the woman that I hired, she runs with it. And then I have a graphic designer whom I love and adore, and she's an exceptional designer. She handles all the overflow. So I'll do the intensive the brand components and the brand story and, visually the brand story. And then if there's marketing materials that need to happen, like catalogs and things like that, then I'll float that work to her because she's freelance as well. And then I have a CFO, a fractional CFO. And we, it's my business. So I get to give people whatever names I want. You want a name, Steve? What do you want?
I was going to say, it sounds like you need to start offering these people podcasts and videos, and
right?
I can be but yeah, I need a nice fraction. I've not been fractional anything.
We've got a fractional podcast wing now.
Yes. I like it.
And then I also work with, I have another one. About 14 months ago for the studio, I hired an EA. But I call her my director of operations, and because she gets a fancy, it's like Oprah, you get a fancy title, you get a fancy title. So she handles all the back end stuff, which as a freelancer has taken so much off my plate. That has been instrumental to being able to focus on business development. So finding new clients and putting more focus on the work instead of trying to be like, oh my God, I got to handle the financials, the taxes, the invoicing. I hate that stuff.
Wow. And so these people have gradually been introduced over the last couple of years?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I would say just in the past 14 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
You seem lit up about it. You seem excited by this.
I love having a team. I love people. I love working with people. But yet I'm sitting here alone in my studio.
I mean, with that, though, does come a degree of management
Yep.
of other people and a degree of, even if they're, freelance contractors, there's still a degree of responsibility. And also maybe if your clients are paying you, but you're paying them, then there's an element of cash flow if this is all going through your studio. So how have you, I mean, it doesn't seem to be bothering you at all, but how have you coped with that? Because it is a shift from being one person
I thought you were
doing
going to say it
everything.
is. I'm not going to swear, but I thought you were going to say it is not a shift.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a big difference from doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
How have you found that?
It's a journey. It's a journey, and there's always things to learn, and you kind of, stumble your way through them, and then you start learning all different kinds of things, even on how to effectively communicate so that my ideas come across. So I think that you just kind of, well, if you're me, you're just kind of like, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
you did mention a business coach, though.
Yes.
So
yes.
has that been part?
1,000%.
Have you had coaches or mentors in that respect across? Because, you've been working for yourself for 18 years, I think we said earlier. So that's a long time. Is it only recently that you've had a business coach?
I've had the business coach for 4 years, and since having her, I've doubled my revenue every year consistently. She is worth the investment, and she, just like what I do for my clients, she knows my goals, and she knows like how to break those goals down into anywhere from like actionable items of what to do for the newsletters. I told you she'll be on me about that. To networking, to the actual ins and outs of your numbers for your business. And again, at the end of the day, yes, Rizbee Studio is a business, but it's still just me, So it falls under that, like, some people are, oh, you're a freelancer. Yes, sure. Yes. And then other times I'm like, I own a studio that specializes in. So again, you gotta, but yes, since, to answer your question, back to the full question, I only have been working with my business coach for 4 years. Prior to that, I've definitely had advisors that, like, I still send things to my college advisor, my undergraduate college advisor. And she still responds with like, I'm like, is this working? Something seems to be a little off. And so, just to even get that kind of feedback, it's definitely been people along the way who have always loved their input and their advice. But I have to say that the biggest investment that I made and the biggest revenue jump that I've seen in gaining clients has been working strategically on my business with a business coach.
It sounds overwhelmingly positive, but what has the experience of having a business coach been? And that's a long period of time. That's consistent check-ins, I imagine. Yeah,
so we meet once a month, and she also does these incredible retreats where it's female founders that go on retreats, and it's only about maybe 5 to 8 people. And we do these like gatherings, powwows, sessions, whatever you want to call them, where we really talk about our businesses and our goals. And then we say, okay, now let's all figure out, how do we help this person get to the next goal? What are some ideas? Like, so it's building that little tight-knit community of really being able to empower ourselves to hit those goals and make those goals happen. So you end up working on your business and not necessarily like just in it and just like, shuffling through. So I think that has been really educational.
Yeah, it's almost like a mastermind
Yes,
but
exactly. That's what, yes. Yeah.
in a nice setting.
Yes. In a lovely setting in the Florida Keys or the
Oh, really?
Bahamas
Oh,
or,
my God.
oh, yes, the mountains of New Hampshire. Yes.
I need to get into packaging and design.
Yeah. But
Oh,
it's not just the
No, I'm
packaging, though.
joking.
It's women from all different kinds of businesses. Yeah. Come on over.
So what we're actually saying is I need to become a woman because
Yes, that's the answer.
because this sounds brilliant.
Or you could start your own channel of running retreats.
Well, do you know, people ask me to do this all the time, and I'm the one who goes, oh, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of organising. But I do things like, so in the Being Freelance community, we have a on-off mastermind, and I see the difference it makes to people.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of online meetups, but we sometimes do them in person. They might be creative ones, like doing something arty. But at Christmas, like last Christmas, we had nearly 50 of us. We hired out a pub in London for Christmas lunch and pub quiz, karaoke. Yeah,
What?
my wife is always amazed because I can't organise for us to go out for dinner, but I can.
You can organise that dinner.
I can get 50 freelancers in a room.
I love that. I just hosted actually in my house because of weather, but I hosted our first client appreciation dinner, and I had 40 people in the house. I hired a private chef. She was incredible. She took everything that each client makes, their products, and then she made this custom menu using all their products. It was incredible. So much so that like one of my clients stood up at the end and was like, I'm so happy to be at the first annual client appreciation dinner. And I was like, oh my God. And I have clients that are like, do you have the date yet for the dinner for September? I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this again. I loved it and it was wonderful, but the clients loved it because it was clients at all different stages in the CPG arena, in revenue, and in all different stages of, just starting out, or they've been in business since 1970. So full range. And they got to all know each other and they got to ask for advice. Afterwards, they all contacted me and they were like, can we do a coffee date with everybody? So then we hosted a coffee date. And everybody came in from all over, and we kind of just had a little powwow of like just sharing resources. It was so beautiful. It was wonderful.
Wow. So was that something that you did you treat them all to dinner?
I did. I did.
Wow, Laura.
Yeah, I did.
But what a beautiful thing. Hang on. Is this Rizbee and Friends? Is this
yes,
what it's been
yes,
called?
yes,
I saw it on your Instagram.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, though. But I love the thought of not just sending something to a client, but bringing all of your clients who have this thing in common, not just yourself, but their businesses together like that. What a lovely thing.
Yeah, it was great. It was so lovely. But I guess I'm doing it again. You'll have to come to this one, Steve.
This has been such a treat, Laura. And I meant to say it as well, because I was going to ask you about your website. I'll just say it very, very briefly, though. Go check out the Rizbee Studio website. It's very nice. I love the video on it. That's not just because I do podcasts and video stuff, but just landing on it almost immediately, you get the real sense of the personality of your business.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
It travels through it looks like snow coming down. You go into the studio. It was
literally snowing. We did it in a blizzard. No joke.
Yeah, you see, it's not AI snow. It really was this magical. Goes into the studio and you're chatting with them. And is that wallpaper on the ceiling, by the way?
It is.
Wow, that is ballsy.
Love it.
I know there's a talking version of the video as well, but that silent play video that is there really big at the top.
I'll let Mary know. She's the videographer. She just nailed it. She did a beautiful job.
It conveyed so much so quickly.
Thank you so much.
I really liked that. How long has that current incarnation of your website? Because I know websites change a lot, but how long is that?
So we did that in March of 2024. haven't really needed to update it too much since, except the work. So underneath the work carousel will constantly be updated and added new things.
Yeah, which is lovely detailed case studies as well, right?
Yes. And that also gets updated whenever we have a new case study to put up there. We recently rebranded a cracker company, and that has roots to Italy. So it was so fun. And we did all custom illustrations for it, told like a story on the box. And it's been getting a lot of really good feedback. So it's been lovely. So we'll be adding that soon to the case studies and to the whole reel.
Now, one thing I haven't asked about, which I'm always intrigued about, is people's work-life balance. Because obviously you first went freelance when you had your first child?
Yes. Yep.
So there was a reason there originally, but how is work-life balance for you now? Well, that answer speaks volumes.
Oh, man. Well, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I haven't had some of them or all of them bursting through my studio door. Because, I'm trying to be professional here, and they're always, walking in mid-sentence. And I'm like, oh, my God. It's I'm very fortunate. My husband built me a little studio on our property, and so I'm home. I might be working, but I'm home. So if anybody needs anything, all three are in school full time now. I've got one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary school. But it's definitely, there hasn't been, I'm prepping for a really big project from 2 weeks from today. And so there hasn't been much life-work balance in the past 8 weeks or so. But I'll close my laptop at around 4:35 and go in and sit on the couch and reopen my laptop. So, but I think that's why we took our vacation at Thanksgiving. I think it's, really important. For New Year's, we had friends come and stay with us for 3 days. And it was just we all put a puzzle together, taking those moments to really just be with each other. Last night we were all sitting in the living room, which is rare because my kids are, all doing their different things at different ages, but we're all sitting, working, reading, listening to a record on the record player. And it was lovely. So yeah, I stopped everyone and I was like, I really like this right now.
Oh, Laura. I should point out we're recording this on a Thursday, so that's a midweek moment as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I always do this thing where I ask for 3 facts about yourself to make 2 true, 1 a lie, and let me figure out the lie. So what do you have for me, Laura?
Oh my God, I had my husband in here earlier and I was like, I don't know how to play this game. And he helped me. So and we came up with some good ones. So I'm really, really excited about this. Okay, so my first fact is I was almost a ballerina in the Boston Ballet. My second fact is I am going to the Grammys this year. And my third fact is I'm in the process of preparing a TED Talk.
Ooh, okay. Now, unconventionally, I'm going to start with number 2. How come you're going to the Grammys? Are you up for Best Hip Hop again, Laura?
I am. Well, you're gonna think I'm, as freelancers, the thing that I like to call us the most is delusional. Essentially, when you are freelance, you are running your own business. You are the business and you have to run it like a business. You have to run all the things. So as, a self-proclaimed delusional entrepreneur, last year I started another business and we're launching it at the Grammys.
And you can't say what it is?
Oh, I can.
Oh, okay, good.
So I started a hair tie company And it's not your average hair tie company. Our differentiator is, and again, it's me. Our differentiator is that it is micro encapsulated with 100% essential oils. We're coming out with two. One that's lavender scented, and we source the lavender from France. And then the second one is a blend of eucalyptus, peppermint, and spearmint. And they're compostable.
So why launch it at the Grammys?
Why not?
Okay. You're working on a TED Talk. So what TED Talk? What's your thing?
So I have a passion about building visual vernacular systems in branding. It is about, and again, just starting the beginnings, the outlines of how do we tell a story visually through systems, and making sure that the branding holds true for continuity and consistency through all those touch points.
Where do you hope to do the TED Talk?
So there's one that's coming up in Connecticut, and that's what I'm hoping to be able to do.
Okay. You were nearly a ballerina for the Boston Ballet. When was this, Laura?
Yes, when I was little. I was probably 9. And my grandmother, who was my best friend and my go-to person, she was phenomenal. She took me to dance lessons. Like every other weekend, I had dance lessons, and I loved it. I loved it. And she had me try out for the Boston Ballet Nutcracker, and it was intense. You had to get the outfit because you all had to wear the same thing. You had to do all these moves, and I was just like, I was so nervous, so racked in nerves that I was so uncoordinated. But I danced on the stage at the Wang Center in Boston, which is known for being the Boston Ballet home. And I got to do that. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Wow. Okay. So you didn't get through the audition?
I got through the audition, but I sadly got my letter in the mail saying that I would not be asked back.
Oh, come on.
I still have my number that you had to pin to your leotard. I still have it.
Okay. Oh, okay. I tell you what, that better be true because it's a lovely story. The Grammys and the TED Talk. You see, all the spiel that you're able to give about your TED Talk, I believe, because you said it so perfectly, but that's because that's what you believe. Now, so the question here is it what you're hoping to do as a TED Talk? It's clearly something that you're passionate about, but are you hoping to do it as a TED Talk? Then the other one is the Grammys. I mean, I wouldn't put it past you to start another business. You clearly have a lot of energy. You have great packaging for it. But would you do that? Oh, essential oils. It was very believable. But even then, why would you launch it at the Grammys? No, do you know what? I don't buy that one. Maybe there's elements of truth in there. Maybe you've thought about, why don't hair ties smell nice? And I'd love to go to the Grammys. No, Grammys is a lie.
I'm going to the Grammys.
Oh my God.
And I started another company. I am not doing a TED Talk.
Oh my.
This is great. This is so great.
I can't believe you started. You madman. Have you heard how busy you are? Maybe you need to listen back to this podcast.
I told you I'm delusional.
No, do you know what you are? You're amazing. That's what you are.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
And clearly, though, do you know, that does speak to the fact, though, that there's this. Some of us we're freelance and we've become a business, but it's ultimately because we love doing the creative thing. But
yes.
Maybe, yeah. you obviously enjoyed a creative thing, but
I
you're
love
also
it.
clearly getting a buzz from the entrepreneurial side of it that
Yes,
has now lit you
I
up.
grew up in entrepreneurs. So
Ah,
my my grandfather and my father, my grandmother, they were all entrepreneurs. So it, guess it kind of just stuck. I grew up in restaurants, and so it just kind of, stuck and was always around it. So makes sense. I think it makes sense.
wow. Well, I tell you what, Laura, what a fascinating change that happened when you became Rizbee Studio. And if it wasn't for that awful experience that
Yep.
day, maybe it
Yes.
wouldn't have happened quite so quickly. But
Yep.
it's been brilliant to hear the power of getting into your niche, of all the networking that you do and the supporting others, but that amazing client idea, making everyone feel so special. Love it. Go to beingfreelance.com. As there are for all of our guests, you'll be able to find links through so that you can find Laura and Rizbee Studio online. Make sure you're following along on Instagram and on LinkedIn so that you can see what she's up to. Well, and who knows what will happen with her hair tie business. Maybe that will be on How I Built This, some other podcast further down the line. But for now, Laura, thank you so much and all the best being freelance.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Same to you. Thank you so very much. It was great, great, great talking with you. Thank you.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Isn't Laura great? Go follow her. Another one of those shorter episodes coming soon, and then another interview as well. So please do make sure you're following along and sharing the podcast. I appreciate it. And you have a great week being freelance.